Hi, my name is Dr. Robert Abrams. I have been seeing Dr. Shao now for about 12 years. Oof. So, yeah, the thing that actually led me in to see Dr. Shao is I became very, very sick to where I was literally on my deathbed. And the reason for that was I had a lot of digestive issues. And when I would go to see Western doctors, the more I would see them, the sicker I would actually get. And pretty much my wife at the time had no choice but actually escort me in here because I couldn't absorb food anymore, so brain fogged and malnutritioned from, in the care of Western medicine. So when I came to see her, it was my last ditch effort because I was trying everything to learn how to heal. Well, interesting enough, when I first came in to see her, I didn't really believe her. I came in for a few sessions and I felt really bad afterwards. Become very emotional and feel just worse. It was interesting, I didn't understand that. But if you don't mind me saying, the thing that actually drew me back is I came in here to get a Tuina acupuncture session. And at that time when my ex-wife actually escorted me in here, I was so sick she had to help me under the arm to get onto the table to get a Tuina session. And this gentleman by the name of Will was massaging me, and he was looking at me kind of odd, and he was asking me, how long have I been seeing Dr. Shao? Because I was so sick looking. And I told him I've been seeing her for a year, and he jumped back from the table in shock. And what he said to me is, "And you're still sick?" To be honest with you, when I first started seeing Dr. Shao, I was so clinically hexed by Western doctors, because they don't give you hope when you go to see them. You feel worse when you actually leave. I didn't really have any faith and hope that I'd actually heal, but when that actually happened with Will, I'm going to listen to everything she had to say to me. It was a defining moment in my healing. And I literally listened to her, and as I started to see her weekly, a couple times a week, I started to gain my digestion back and start to heal. Well, it's interesting enough, when that happened, when I saw Dr. Shao, I started noticing I would have all these different kinds of emotions coming out of me. My next couple of nights, where I didn't realize at the time, now I know it was healing reactions. My body was starting to heal up and the immune system was starting to kick back on. The reason I came back is there was just literally this internal voice that says, keep going back, keep going back. My intuition was leading me back to her. And I didn't realize that pain, sometimes you have to go through pain to get out of it. And it taught me a lot, but that's the reason I came back, is not only her warm, compassionate energy that she has, but her demeanor and her true willingness and openness to actually see people heal and transform. You can just, being around her, you'll understand. It's just, she's like a beautiful soul. To be honest with you, 4 to 6 months, I started literally gaining my ability to eat and digest food again. I started feeling better than I had in my actual entire life, and it was fascinating to me. I didn't realize how actually I suffered from depression until I started not having depression anymore when I started seeing her. I came to her for digestive issues, but the healing and transformation I started experiencing is, as being in my mid-30s, I never actually realized how the body and the emotions and the mind are actually intricately related. Not only the symptoms disappear, but I felt better. Her ability to assist you on your healing journey to literally feel better and better and better in seeing her. Well, like I said, it's fascinating. I didn't understand how much your mind affects your emotions, and your emotions affects your physical tissues. And you start noticing the more peace that you have, the more your emotions start to relax, the more your body's tissues let go of tension. So it's quite fascinating to see how they're quite literally all intricately connected. Well, let's be real, TCM is healthcare. What we call healthcare currently at the moment, I don't even like the terminology of healthcare or prevention. That tells me you actually don't know what you're talking about. And that's what I would find when I would stick with what we call modern day Western terminologies, or at least when it comes to Western medicine. It's become a business. I actually appreciate TCM, the original Chinese medicine. Think of this as another way of thinking. When I started studying under masters and things of that sort, Chinese doctors and Taoist priests, when I was doing research, I found out that in ancient China, what they would actually utilize is, you only paid your doctor when you were healthy. When you became sick, because you would see them often, you stopped paying. So it was the doctor's job to get you feeling better so they could get paid again. That's a whole other way of healthcare, if you want to use that words again. But no, it's just a way of, wow, you literally see results. Well, here's the interesting thing. When I would see Dr. Shao, she literally healed me up. And I used to eat the same meal every single day for 3 to 4 years because my digestion just gone to pot. It was so bad. She got my healing and healing my digestion on track, and it was so shocking. I was able to eat everything again. That would only last for about 3 to 4 months until I'd have to see her again. So that actually would make me very curious as to why I had to keep coming back. And that's when I started realizing healing is much deeper. I had to look at the emotions, the environment, which created my dis-ease. I needed to heal the emotional side of what was actually going on with me, not only in my current day, but also the things that happened to me, which happens to all of us in our day-to-day. Literally everything that happens to us, our body is literally taking a snapshot of everything. The things we're unwilling to process and face through trauma, our body holds that in our system, and that's where the disharmony is. It's creating a traffic jam. You need to process those emotions. You need to feel what's going on with it to allow flow to actually happen, for non-disease to happen, and actual flow states to experience. It's very fascinating how it's all about the body, the breath, the mind, learning how to go with the flow of life and experience things, learn lessons from it, and then let it go. Interesting enough, I want to say that changes. The more I get into training and all the personal cultivation trainings that I do in Qigong, and the more I get into different spirituality systems through around the world and see how they're all intricately connected and all saying the same thing, it's a way, and that's what Taoism is. Or any of these different kinds of systems. Taoism is just the way. It's a way of being, studying nature, your true nature, and understanding. When you understand nature, you understand how the seasons and everything actually flow through you. For instance, learning about the autumn season, it's all about letting go, and that correlates to the metal element in Chinese medicine, which has to do with your lungs and your large intestine. Fascinating enough, for people that suffer constipation, those people have trouble what? Letting go of things. And the reason we have acupuncture, physical needles, is because the person's been so disconnected and armored from trauma and pain in their life, they can no longer feel their body. So the needle goes in to, connect them back to their body, because their body's trying to tell them something. Pain is an indicator that something is off balance. And this is about bringing you back into balance, back into flow. Fascinating enough, if we're talking about food as to what led me into all of this in the first place, even horrible food or food I once didn't like, I absolutely love it. It gave me such a perspective from once when I was sick to now that I'm healthy. And also, there's different things that show up with myself that I have to balance myself on a daily basis. And then I find the ability to eat and enjoy all of these things that I once took for granted. When I finished up getting my doctorate in Chinese energetic medicine, medical Qigong here, I wanted to go and experience, and study under different masters in China. I was recently just interning at Nanjing Traditional Chinese Medicine University, and having a beautiful experience and seeing what kind of study and research that they're doing and utilizing, and meeting very amazing human beings. They're really in it to help and transform people. And it's just a different way of thinking with Western medicine. They're too caught up with their big cars and surgeries. It's like, you don't need to do surgery. In fact, most people that are doing that, they feel worse after the surgeries, but they don't know that. This is where it's like, it's important to do your own research, but take the time and effort to disprove things. And don't believe anything you're ever told. Even when you're reading things in book, have your own experience with it. So when I was led into going to China, it was a great experience to learn more about myself, but also learn more about the culture and the beauty of all the ancient wisdom that's there. The most fascinating thing was when you walk in and you can feel the depth of intention of, when I was in Longwushan specifically, when I would see the celestial masters and see all the people that are currently there, the different priests and Taoist bishops from around the world, and how we're also intimately connected with the same intention of being of service to help humanity. But we don't do that because we're bragging. We're actually taught to be invisible. So it's quite fascinating just to see such beautiful souls, but also the thought and intention of all of the temple, the peacefulness. It was fascinating to see how peaceful everyone felt. Here, if you're in America and you get on the freeway and someone's honking at you, you can feel the anger, even if you can't even feel the emotions. It's true. It's like there's a kind of chaos here, but a heaviness. In China, it was so fascinating. I call them the murder bikes, because everyone's on their little scooters. And it's just when people honk at each other, which is quite often, you don't feel anger. No, they're just pointing out the fact, hey, I'm next to you. I found that in itself to be so fascinating. But again, the sweet, the loving, compassionate people that I had the privilege of meeting, it was just one after another. I guess it would have to be how I've changed. Dr. Xiao is still doing the exact same thing. It's funny to watch. She's so cute. She's just running from the next client to the next client to the next client. She's just being of service without even a thought. And she hasn't changed one bit. And it's just beautiful to see how she's just doing that with no intention of just being of service, and she's doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. it's admirable and it's appreciated to see someone who's truly coming from their heart and able to truly help people, not because they think they can. And the things that have changed is me. And those subtle little things is fascinating. When I would come in to see her, I would try to convince her of how sick I was. And that's where it shocked me to realize how much the stories I would tell myself, there's patterns, and everything is patterns. Not only my digestive issues that I have, but how much pain I was experiencing, but how much I would reinforce the pain by talking about it. And when she would ask me about her symptoms, I would go on stories and she would go, Robert, that's beautiful. Tell me the next symptom. She would shut me down, and when I would go home, I would try to think of this as to why would she say that to me? Why is my disease beautiful? But her demeanor was, she really meant this, like, that's beautiful, Robert, what else is going on? She was looking at the symptoms, not the stories I was trying to convince myself of everything. But that's when I realized, over time and contemplation of being home and in sitting in nothing but to be in my sickness, and understanding that, oh, I had to take accountability as to what was actually causing my disharmony and disease. So the change and transformation within me is what's changed. Dr. Hsiao is still the loving presence that she's always been. I'm the biggest skeptic you'll ever meet. Well, interesting enough, when I started getting in and studying medical Qigong, again, I got into these things to actually learn how to heal myself. I was kind of selfish at that time. But then when I realized I was being taught about how emotions are stored in different organ systems. The heart is known as the emperor in Chinese medicine. When the heart becomes too stagnant and too unprocessed of emotions, it creates anxiety. The sadness, grief, and depression of the lungs, when they become not processed, cause a lot of the grief and sadness to rise up and create tension. You have the anger, rage, and frustration of the liver, and then you have the pensive trust and issues of the spleen, and then you have the fear of the kidneys. The emperor, as it says, is like, no, you need to wait in the yellow court. This is the yellow court. All of those ministers get stuck here, and this is where stagnation. Interesting enough, when you talk about anxiety, anxiety is quite actually easy to heal. There's certain exercises to help alleviate the tension from the heart, because it's like a fire. Because all those unprocessed emotions fly up into the heart energy and cause all that unprocessed emotions to cause the anxiety. You're short-circuiting. We need to create peace by learning how to calm the heart and the energies. Then relaxation happens. The body responds and the tissues relax. So if you were to tell me any of that, I'd be rolling my eyes, which I did many times at my master. But he's also, okay, now we're a school of embodiment. Now that I've taught you the theory, here's the experience of this. And the more we do these different exercises, it would help alleviate, cause balance and harmony in the system, and everything goes back to peace and harmony. It was totally shocking. So what they say is true, but you need to have a direct experience of that. And that's why we say, don't believe what I say. Have an experience. And when you know that it's true and a manifestation of it, then you and I can have a conversation. Depend on the person what I feel to be correct, because not everyone is ready for healing. But sometimes the person needs time to process, and that can take a few months or a year until they're ready for healing, because I'll send them away. It's like, no, you're not ready. But I'll also give them examples as to what's going on with them. Again, it's about transformation. It's not the quick fix, like give me the pill. You know, in the West, as we think, it's like, oh, if I go and get surgery, I'm going to be good. It's like, no, what led you into all these different things, and how can we bring that back into harmony? For someone who's never experienced TCM, is like, I would say give it a chance, but I'd say give it a real chance. Don't just do one session. Do multiple sessions, but also do, you know, the research when it comes in the reviews and testimonials, and see what other people are saying through their healing journeys. If you notice, you know, some people, they don't have, you don't hear so many people doing testimonials and reviews for doctors, Western terminology, you know, Western doctors. But when it comes to, like for instance, for myself or Dr. Hsiao, they're constantly give us reviews because we've given them their lives back. Or a better way of explaining it, we removed the blockages and they'll actually change their lives to find peace and harmony. So what I'd recommend is give it a chance. Don't just go in for 1 or 2 sessions. No, be willing to change. Whether that be your mind state, the way you feel about things, or the environment that you're creating. Just be open. That's all.